Hi there. For my next project I'm going to make another bowl out of this piece of Spalted Beech, but this time I'm going to have a go at putting a ring made out of pewter. Now I've never used pewter before. I've ordered some pewter pellets, so the whole process of making this rim should be quite interesting for me. So in preparation of getting the pewter, I'll mount the bowl onto the lathe and I'll sort of shape the outside so I can work out what dimensions this pewter ring is going to be. So see you in a bit. Right, so I thought I'd show you a quick tip here. I've got a Nova chuck that's got an M33 internal thread on it, so I can't get a spanner on anything to undo my jaws under my chuck. So I know a lot of people, put that in there and hit it with a hammer. Another way is to open your jaws and put something in, but if you've already got a piece in there that you don't want to disturb, that's a problem. So what I've done, and I'm sure a lot of other people do it, is get hold of one of these oil filter wrenches. It's made out of some kind of plasticky leather thing, and it's quite easy. If you've already got a piece of work on here, you can thread it over, just attach it like that and lock your spindle, and there you go. Dead easy. And this is really cheap. You can get them on eBay. It's a Draper red line. I'm sure others make them, and it's about £4. Bargain. Okay, so while I'm on the subject of tips, I prefer using small face plates as opposed to the screw on your screw chuck. However, sometimes it's quite difficult sort of getting these central. Once you've identified the centre of your bowl blank, which I've done there, putting that on there and trying to work out whether it's central is quite difficult. So I've just made one of these things. It's a little brad awl which goes into this piece of wood. The diameter of that matches exactly the internal thread of that. So push that on, locate the brad awl in the centre point, and that's not going to move anymore. Get your screws, hold it in place. There you go, dead centre, spot on. So that's the outside of the bowl finished. For those that want to see how I got to this stage, please check out some of my other bowl videos, because I cover that process in quite a bit of detail. I finished it in the usual way with cellulose sanding sealer, Yorkshire grit, wood wax 22 and Hampshire sheen microcrystalline wax. I've got a 13mm dovetail here, so I'm going to switch it round onto my 4-jaw chuck and look to prepare the other side for this pewter ring I'm going to put on it. So that should be quite interesting. Okay, I've just trued up the face and I've noticed that some of this wood is a little bit soft, which is a bit worrying because it runs out to the edge of the bowl. But anyway, I've decided the width of the bowl's going to be roughly there, and I shall cut a groove in there so that the pewter ring can sort of sit in it. So what I've decided to do is to do much of this bowl as possible prior to making the ring. So I'm going to hollow it out, put the groove in, and then decide what to do after that. Right, I've hollowed the bowl out and got the shape I'm looking for. I've noticed some areas of soft wood, so I've just put some thin CA glue in there to see if we can address that problem. Once that's set, I'll do some more sanding and probably put some sanding sealer on Yorkshire grit and get it as finished as much as possible before even thinking about putting the pewter rim on. Okay, so I've just put some Yorkshire grit on it, so I'm quite happy with that finish inside. Obviously it needs to be refined with waxing and stuff like that, but until I've got the band on, I'm not going to go any further. So in preparation for the band, the outside measurements here of the bowl are 115 on the outside and 97 on the inside. So what I'm going to do is create a band slightly wider than that, so I'll go for a band with an outside measurement of 117 and an inside measurement of 95, so that's giving me a millimetre on each side. So when it fits, when I fit it, I'll be able to take it back to this edge here and this edge here. So that's the plan anyway. Okay, I've marked the dimensions of the pewter ring onto here, and now I need to cut a recess about 5mm deep. Okay, now I need to calculate where the additional recess is to go in there so that the cast fits inside this recess here. Okay, it's quite important that we get this recess as accurate as possible, otherwise it won't fit onto the top of the bowl. If we don't get it right, then we'll have to adjust the recess in the bowl. So using a thin parting tool, crossed we got that right. So that's the mould made and it looks spot on. So it's just a matter of waiting for the pewter to arrive. And then we'll cast it in there. Exciting! Right, so this is the mould finished. I've cut a tenon in there and there's a groove in the top here, so hopefully that tenon will fit into that. Just to check the dimensions roughly, the bowl does fit in there, so hopefully the ring will just slot on nicely. I guess we'll find out. Today's the exciting day because the pewter's arrived. So what I'm going to do is, before I melt it, just to get a rough idea of how much I need, I'm going to drop these pellets in here, and then I'll add a few more before melting it, so hopefully I'll get the right amount in there. So I've added the pewter pellets, put those into the groove, just to get an idea of quantity. To be honest, it's gone quite a long way because I've still got quite a lot of that, so I've probably used half of that. So what I'll do is I'll put that into this pan, add a few more, and then we'll get it heated up. So here we go then, fingers crossed. I think this probably takes about 5 minutes, so I might just speed the video up. Seems to go pretty quick. And we'll pour it. So I went wrong there because I didn't check my level out. Big mistake. So that's turned out to be a disaster really, all because I didn't level it. That just hasn't taken on top of the other stuff. So I'm going to have to make another mould. Okay, so I've used my parting tool just to go down the side of the ring, so hopefully it'll just prise off now. It'll be quite warm. So this is the failure, and as you can see there's a join there. The tenon actually worked quite well by the looks of it, and ironically a very good fit. What a shame. So I've made the mould again, and this time I'll check that it's level. So it's definitely level that way. Level that way. So we'll give it another try. So looking on the positive side, my bowl is big enough to get the ring in, so that's good. And the other thing is, if it doesn't work out, you just remelt it again. So let's see how we get on this time. There's quite a bit of scum coming off this, I don't know why. Okay, we'll give it another batch. That looks a bit better. So off camera I used a parting tool to get this ring off the mould, and I had a really bad catch. Just caught my finger. So it, you know, just emphasises the dangers in turning wood and metal. So I'll get a plaster on it, and we'll go on to the next stage. Okay, so mix the epoxy resin. Just going to put some in this groove. overlap all the way around, which we have. Put some weight on and leave that to sit overnight. Okay, so the epoxy resin is now set. Before considering attaching it to the bowl, I had thought about truing up the underside edge of the rim on my coal jaws, but unfortunately I've only got one chuck, and I was reluctant to take the bowl off the chuck because then putting it back on it might be out of line. So I've run the risk of not truing up the underside, and I think it's going to leave us with a slight gap once I sort of true up the face and the sides of the band. Now if that happens, I'm going to have to fill that gap with something, and I'm thinking that will be milliput if I need to, but we'll see how we get on. Okay, so after that bad catch yesterday, I've decided to wear a glove on my left hand, and I'm going to be using a negative rake scraper for this. Light touches. Okay, so for the inside edge of the pewter rim, I'm going to use this multi-tip hollowing tool, Robert Sorby one. Hi there. First of all, I'd like to thank a guy called Bram the Wadesmill Woodturner. I saw a video of his last week, and he produced a bowl with a pewter rim on top, and I thought it was fantastic. So he really inspired me to have a go at this particular project, which I found quite challenging. Firstly, I had probably the worst catch I've ever had in wood turning. I've only been turning for about 8 months, and I've probably experienced about 4 or 5 catches, but this was really bad. So what I've learnt is that when you're dealing with metals and you're trying to get a piece of metal out of a mould, you've got to be very, very careful to make sure that you induce a catch with your tool, because it's not very forgiving. So that was quite scary. Secondly, what I've also learned is that when you're pouring pewter, or any metal I guess, make sure your mould is dead level, because if it isn't, it just won't run right. So I had a couple of goes at that. And thirdly, I used Yorkshire grit to get a really good finish on the pewter rim. So the bowl, it's probably one of the best bowls I've ever made so far.